How to find the right property for your business. If you run your own business, choosing where to base your company is a key decision. Your premises should help you operate efficiently, and finding the right location may even help you drive footfall. Your workspace is also likely to be one of your biggest fixed costs, so it makes sound economic sense to invest some energy in getting your workspace right. So where should you start?
Businesses should approach the daunting task of a move process by considering a number of factors. Those factors normally are born out of cost association, location, specification of the space, and the type of space that they're looking to move to. There are some key drivers which businesses need to consider when thinking about the location of where they want to be. If you work in a certain sector, you may be driven to be in a certain pocket of the market. I think more so than ever though, sectors are now dispersing further across the London field, as long as they're driven by the right accessibility in terms of mainline stations, tube stations and hubs for their members of staff to get to. And as long as they're centrally based in terms of those factors, then companies are now willing to consider locations slightly outside the realms of where they would originally consider.
Now, of course, there are different ways to procure that space, either by retaining somebody like me on the advisory side, or frankly you do it yourself, literally from a laptop, just through surfing the web. Most buildings are advertised, and most agencies and serviced office or co-working providers will have decent representation. Of course, what they won't have is details on the market, so you won't have a full understanding of what might be achievable. And always I would expect and encourage businesses to at least speak to consultants just to get a view.
Once you've considered all of these factors and maybe sought out some expert advice, then you'll start to get a feel for the market. And that sound understanding could help strengthen your hand when you're looking for your new premises and deciding which option's right for you.
The market has certainly become more of a buyer's market or a tenant-led market. We're seeing that manifested in the type of deals that can now be negotiated, not just from a reduction in the headline rents that landlords have been marking their space for the last couple of years, but also in the type of incentivisation that can be negotiated on rent-free periods, on capital contributions, on further allowances that landlords will grant to incentivise the occupier to move to their building rather than another landlord's building. If you're a new and growing business, there are a number of considerations to think of, from a shared type of use, serviced office type of use, or even co-working, which is now more and more popular in the market. Having the flexibility that that type of use provides you, i.e. you maybe enter into a document of a contract which is 6 months, 12 months, allowing you the flexibility to extend, to exit as you grow or possibly contract, has real benefits when cash flow is so important to a startup company.
Having a flexible approach may also pay dividends during your search for the right property. So why not think outside of the box and consider an alternative use so that it can be adapted to suit your needs?
So all premises in London have a classification, a use classification, and the most typical one that we'll be engaging with our clients on is B1, and essentially B1 is the use that permits office occupation, office function. When you get to retail and you get to perhaps some quasi-retail spaces or industrial, they will each have their own uses, and those range from A1, A2 for that sort of retail banking hall type use, to D1, D2, which is the educational style spaces. And all of these spaces are kind of, to an extent, up for grabs in terms of what those uses could be in the future. If there is a logical reason as to why that move should happen, then if you put that forward and you have a reasonable planning officer, then you'll generally get that changed through. Actually, some of those non-B1 uses, those spaces, are the ones that are really interesting, really quirky.
Whichever route you choose to take, one essential factor you've got to consider is budget. All too often, new and growing businesses take on property which they may not be able to afford. Paul Creevin, business advisor for NWES, says cost planning for your commercial property is a crucial part of working out which option's right for you.
It's essential that you make a business case for taking on premises by completing a comprehensive business plan or growth plan if you're growing your business. As part of that, you'll gather and analyse information that helps you to decide that the premises that you're looking for will really add value to your business. You will gather details of costs, you will gather information about how far you are from your clients, how close you are to your suppliers, and that the premises themselves as a resource will enable you to achieve what you're striving for in your business through your core objectives. It's recommended that you make a detailed inventory of all of the costs that are involved in taking the site. So for instance, you may need to provide rent as a deposit, possibly 3 months. You may need to pay rent in advance, and there can be a considerable absorption of cash and capital at that point. That needs to be factored into your thinking. On top of that, there will be legal fees. There may be redevelopment fees if you're going to refurbish and fit out. The costs, you can see, soon start to stack up. So having identified all of those costs, the challenge will be to just look and see, is it realistic to expect us to raise this money? Have we got the money? And for this development stage of our business, is it appropriate? If not, sometimes it may mean scaling back, looking for a smaller site, and recognizing that the site you end up with, based on what resource you have available, is a stepping stone to where you want the business to be maybe in 3 or 5 years' time.
For more information on how to choose the right property for your business, visit the London Growth Hub website.